Lucy Dacus is on her way to New Zealand. We caught up with her in Los Angeles, where she's making her way to Auckland from her home in Philadelphia. Lucy's been on the road for a while now, having released her most recent album, Home Video, last June. So, what can we expect from the 4 shows in Auckland and Wellington? So you've just kind of come off the road for quite a while, and then taking a brief respite, and then heading down this way. So that's all good. So what was it like on the road? Was it different under the circumstances?
You mean like post-COVID?
Or I don't even know if we are post-COVID.
I don't know. I was going to say, because post isn't really right. Like I still don't even go to that many shows as a viewer, but
yeah.
It has been amazing. The shows have felt really, really great. I really love all the new songs, and getting to interact with fans is like such a blessing. And also like meeting like younger fans who have become fans like during lockdown basically, and hearing that it has meant something to them, made them feel less alone. I mean, there's nothing more I could ask for as a person.
Cool. So do you think that the lockdown thing actually contributed to the acquisition of the younger fans?
Possibly. I guess you can never tell if it's like weird or nice to find silver linings in a really terrible situation.
Right.
But I definitely appreciate the people who have come to this during this time.
All right. So when you kind of start a new leg of the tour like you are, do you rejig the set list? Are you changing things around a little bit, or are you kind of going with this, what's worked so far?
I try to change the set like all the time. Not a bunch, because there's like a lot of our favorite songs we want to play every night. And
sure.
There's sort of sections of the set that feel really good in one order, like they kind of flow together. But especially when we do 2 nights, and we're doing 2 nights in Auckland, 2 nights in Wellington, the sets are going to be different for those. Not too much different, but enough that there's something new.
Cool. And how are the new songs going over as far as compared to the catalog stuff? Because you've got a legacy behind you now at this point.
Wow, that's flattering to call it that. The new songs feel great. I feel like the new songs feel the best, and I hope that continues to happen in my life. That like, hopefully people still love the old stuff, but I'll continue to make things that like people still resonate with.
Right. So I was looking at your set list, and I noticed that you tended to open most of the shows with the Triple Dog Dare song, which is about 8 minutes long, which is which probably wouldn't be recommended for most part. So why have you decided to kind of throw that in there? It's throwing down the gauntlet a little bit, isn't it?
That's kind of why. It's sort of like, okay, here we go, buckle up, you're in for a ride. And it starts really low key and then kind of builds, and so it brings people in a gradual way. Also, I have a lot of long songs, and so I couldn't really do like Night Shift and Triple Dog Dare at the end, because that's like 15 minutes. It just feels like I don't want to test people's patience, and people's patience are very high at the beginning of a set. Yeah,
that's true, because it's all new and fresh. So, exactly. Now, one song I wanted to just touch on from the home video album is VBS, which is, I believe, stands for Vacation Bible School.
Mm-hmm.
So, me being of a similar, a much older vintage than you, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I went to Vacation Bible. It was like the only thing to do.
Oh my God!
Like you go to. It was up near Lake Erie and Erie. And so I was fascinated because I never heard anybody talk about Vacation Bible School before, especially musically. Have you got your own experiences, I assume?
In the summer of 07, I was sure I'd go to heaven, but I was hedging my bets at VBS. A preacher in a t-shirt told me I could be a leader, taught me how to build a fire and to spread the word.
absolutely. I mean, you heard about them in the song. That's like all a true story. And I could have done a whole record about VBS, but I didn't want to define my career by that set of experiences. But it's been cool. Like, half the people are like, what does VBS stand for? And then the other half are like, I know, and I feel triggered. Like, people feel like, I think relating to that song is people have mixed feelings. I think a lot of people tend to like it, but also it's like hard to think about that time for a lot of people.
Right. Fortunately for me, I didn't have any traumatic experience. I had a good time.
Oh, good. I mean, I had so much fun. It's just, in retrospect, like, wow, that was really some indoctrination.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't realize that when you're 10 years old, I guess.
No, you're just making a macaroni necklace and building a fire and making friends.
Yeah, I think the most traumatic for me was that we were swimming in Lake Erie, which was not the most clean. But nobody worried about that back then either.
If that's the worst, then you were blessed.
I think I was okay. Yeah. So overall, the album was released last June, so almost a year ago. Does your relationship with these songs and the record change after the time and being on the road and all that stuff and talking with people about it and reading reviews and all that?
I guess it probably does, and kind of like only for the better, because the more I know that people relate to it, the less I'm insecure that I've done something self-indulgent. I feel like since my job title is Lucy Dacus, and that's just my name, my job can feel really self-centered because it kind of is.
Right.
And I want to make things that go beyond that, though, where like people could not know my name and still have a relationship with the song. And I hope all the songs outlive me and matter to people much more than my like identity matters.
Right. Because I think actually a lot of times the more the songs seem to be specifically about you and your experiences, they turn out to be more universal for some reason. It's like you didn't realize, like by Vacation Bible School, perfect example, but not just that. So have you found that to be the case?
Yeah, I didn't know until this record because I think I've always been afraid to get too specific. And so I would keep things general, still talking from my experience, but speaking about emotions and so it's worked though. Like being really specific, I think people respond to vulnerability and just good storytelling, and way more people see themselves in the song than I expected.
Right. So are you thinking in terms of what you're going to do for the next record at this point? Because I imagine
always.
Yeah.
I have songs that I have written that have not gone on any of my records that I hope will come out on future records. I'm always thinking about what's next, and I think a lot of musicians are that way. But I've been really loving thinking about how the next record could go. Cool.
And I see you do the occasional cover. You cover Springsteen or Carole King or somebody. What are the requirements of a song to be covered? Just something you love randomly, or do they have a special place to you, or what?
I love covering songs that have been covered a lot because it feels like you're in conversation with a history. And it also, like, those songs that get covered a lot, it's because the songs are undeniable. And I think just like lifting those songs up and being a part of lifting those songs up is like a very cool way to interact with that song's life. And then, like it's been cool to cover some of the greats, like Carole King. Covering those for the Third Man release of her record is like such an honor to be asked to do. Like I grew up listening to her, and like even like In the Air Tonight, Phil Collins, like that's such an iconic song. Like it's almost like how dare anybody cover it because it's already perfect. But I learned so much from recording that song specifically because we used a bunch of recording techniques that we never had, and then we ended up using those on home video. Not like home video sounds like a Phil Collins record, but you just like gather tools as you cover other people's music, and you can use them for yourself.
Yeah, that's cool. So, you mentioned Dancing in the Dark. There's a young lady who covers it here in Auckland, who's a kind of an alt country kind of singer, and she does her own version of it. So, hopefully, she'll come and see you play it.
Who's that?
Her name is Kendall Elise.
Can't start a fire. Can't start a fire without a spark. This gun's for hire. Even if we're just dancing in the dark.
So,
I've loved this. Every time I've done interviews in New Zealand, people recommend me other New Zealand artists, and it
really?
seems like
so who have you glommed onto?
No, it's great. Like it just gives me the impression that y'all are so supportive of each other and like aware of what's going on, and I don't know, just like fits in with the stereotype that people from New Zealand are just genuinely very kind. Probably the best stereotype that I've heard of.
I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
So you were last year, what, 2019 was it?
What was that?
I'm trying to remember when you last performed in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah. 2019, like the spring of 2019.
Right. And did you get a chance to get out and about and check out the country a little bit, or no?
I did. It was the end of tour, so I went to Piha and saw, is it Lions Rock? Just like that big rock that's on the beach, and I climbed up it, and it's like the most beautiful place I've ever been, probably. I mean, there's no denying how beautiful New Zealand is.
Yeah. So when you come here next week, are you proceeding on touring the rest of the world, or is this kind of just a one-off little dip in the ocean, so to speak?
Well, we do the 4 shows in New Zealand, and then we go over to Australia and do 4 shows as well. And then I come home for a couple of weeks, and then I do a US tour, and then I come home, and then I go to Europe, and then I come home, and then more unannounced.
That's a lot
tours.
of time on the road. Did you always plan
much.
on? Do you love the road?
I do. I mean, it's really, I'd get no thrill like hearing people sing along, and it makes me feel like the job is real, because otherwise it's just on the screen, you know?
Right.
Like it's hard to think tangibly about music without shows. So I'm into it. I do love being at home. Like ever since I moved to Philadelphia, I have just felt like I belong there. So
Well, that's nice.
We'll see. I think I'll give myself a break a couple months from now.
Maybe write some new songs.
Maybe.
Very good. All right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you here on. It's just like, I can't believe it's just next week. So that's very cool, because we haven't had any overseas artists in a long time. So I think you're going to be like the first. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we had Amanda Palmer, but she ended up moving here. She got stuck here.
That's wild. I mean, not the worst place to get stuck. I'll say that.
Very good. All right. Well, I'll let you go. Look forward to seeing you soon, and it's going to be a wild show, I'm sure.
Yeah. Very excited.
Okay. See you later.
See you.
Bye-bye.